Welcome to our 54th monthly broadcast on buying new releases. This is April 28th, and we are looking at June of 2015. We is Bob Tellini and Mark and Ken, and let's get started. We're looking at June in a macro level. On an average month, it's $900 million in box office. This month is $700 million, so it's slightly below average. But I would advocate you spend your monthly budget because it's been a lousy April, a lousy May, and it's going to be a lousy July, a very lousy July. And I would say force yourself to buy the budget so you have something over the summer. And there are 5 Tuesdays, and with one warning, June 23rd has been abandoned. I have no idea why, but you'll see that upcoming. Here's a tip sheet. We use the last column. A store that buys $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year. You can print this out, use any column that's appropriate for your store. This is a shelf talker that Ken uses at his video store to highlight movies that he has a 4-week window ahead of Redbox and Netflix. Over half the movies in June have this window, and easily for 2015, half, if not more than half of the movies will have a 28-day window for Ken's store and other stores. Okay, the first Tuesday is June 2nd. SpongeBob movie grossed $162 million, which is double what grossed on the first one 10 years ago. And my recommended buy is 15 to 25. Ken? Not Ken, sorry. Mark.
Hey, by the way, Ken, I did just love that shelf talker. Just, absolutely does what it's supposed to do. Just really like that. This is a pretty solid week, starting out with a big box office kiddie fair. But to me, even with that huge box office, I'd hold this to a shelf, maybe a shelf and a half on the rental side. Good stuff always fell off real well. But I'd still be careful here, and I'd hold this one down. It's just way too oriented towards the kiddie. What do you think, Ken?
I'd probably do 2 shelves anyway. I mean, from what I've seen and heard, I've known a lot of adults, or, not middle-aged adults, but young people to go to the theater to see it, and many of them looking for a kid to take as an excuse. So I'm not sure how it's actually going to do. Certainly the sell-through side is a real consideration here. So I'd probably have it, certainly I'll have it for sale and for rent. And I'd probably go a little heavier on my sale inventory in case I need to convert it to rental inventory.
Okay. Oh my God, are you saying to me that I need to open up my mind and maybe I should watch this?
There's no downside to it.
By the way, when these two gentlemen talk about shelves, they generally mean 7, even though it could be 6 or 8. They generally.
Yeah, we're talking about spaced out 7 boxes on a shelf.
Okay. Second title, Focus, R-rated, Will Smith. I'm sure they were terribly disappointed with the $54 million box office, but this guy's made for video, 28-day window, 15 to 25. Mark?
Yeah, Will Smith is longer box office gold, that's for sure. Who knows how much of that $50 million budget went to his salary as well. Still a fairly entertaining movie, gotcha type movie. I'd comp it to Now You See Me. That did pretty well. Definitely put more of these on your shelf, in my opinion, than SpongeBob, especially with that 28-day window. Ken?
Yeah, I think here's a place where the 28-day window really benefits the title. I'd be looking at trying to put in about 3 shelves here. I think it'll do well. I think it'll have legs, and I don't think it'll be massive demand, but people will want to rent this. There's no question about it.
And I like that artwork they came up with. It's appealing.
Yeah, that artwork's new. Jupiter Ascending, the big thing about this is that it has a $176 million budget. It is beautiful on the screen. Obviously, some people thought it was weak on the story, but this is very good for video. Big cast. This will do well. 14 to 22. Mark?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about this last month, and it got bumped up into this month. Am I right?
You could be right. It was scheduled for May. I think it was switched to June.
Right. But coming out the same week as Focus, you have to keep in mind that both titles will be cross-promoted and heavily advertised, in my opinion. So I'm going to say the high end of that number. And last week we were saying that we'd like 3 shelves. I don't think that's changed. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, I think 3 shelves here as well. Again, it's a 28-day window. You know, it's a big-name cast. The box art's catchy. Everybody's heard of this movie, even though probably very few people know what the storyline really is. Just the name Jupiter implies something to them other than the name of the girl.
Okay, McFarlane USA. This is another Disney PG sports movie that works. It seems like they're the only ones that consistently make them. Good parallel is $1 Million Arm. This is a nice little title, 13 to 19. Mark?
I saw this. Very entertaining. My recollection is it was a lot more gritty than PG, but, maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed grittier than PG to me. It's a true story, uplifting Disney vehicle, like you said, Bob. It's got Kevin Costner. He does a terrific job. It will not disappoint. I think your number looks perfect.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this is 2 shelves anyway, so that'd put it at 14. Kevin Costner's money on video. And I think this would match up well with $1 Million Arm, which did well in our store.
Okay, we have some independent titles called Hidden Gems. You'll see this designation. It means video retailers recommend them. And our first Hidden Gem title for June 2nd is Eat With Me. It's a romantic comedy. It has a gay theme in the sense that the mother moves in with the son who is gay, and the mother kind of denies it. And they both learn to live with each other as they look for romances, as George Takei from Star Trek. Mark?
That might be a little TMI, but I'm not sure. Charming little foodie movie with a gay thread and an Asian cast. It's a tough sell, but it's definitely worth a pickup. Has a recognizable cast. Worth a pickup, but, you have to be careful. Yeah?
I'd probably bring in 2 copies here. The guy from Star Trek is certainly recognizable, and I think it'll do okay.
The Taking of Tiger Mountain. This is a genre piece. This is a action Chinese movie, good against evil. Not sure. Certainly worth getting, I guess, at least one. Mark?
Yeah, if you got the budget, in this demographic, these Chinese action flicks, that have spectacular cinematography do well for you, then pick it up. But if you're trying to watch your budget, you could skip it.
Yeah, this really comes down to budget, what you have after you've got through all the other titles. I mean, I don't know how much of this is in English, or how much maybe subtitles. Yeah. So if that has an impact in your store, you may want to consider that as well.
Okay, Blindsided, no box office that I'm aware of. Obviously, the draw of this is Michael Keaton, and they put it nicely in the center of the box. So it's probably worth getting just for that. Mark?
Yeah, and if you're looking for it on IMDb to check it out, it's called Penthouse North on IMDb. It's worth a pickup. You bet you with that cast. Lukewarm reviews, but hey, look at that cast. Worth mentioning a 3 excellent TV series streak this week. I don't know that we really care that much, but justified the final season. I would say especially that one, Falling Skies and Pretty Little Liars. Ken?
Yeah, I would bring this in. I mean, I could see bringing in 4 pieces of it. Keaton's going to rent. There's no question about it. I don't know.
Right.
It's got IMDb of 5.5, so it isn't, terrible. People will want this.
Going to the second Tuesday of June, Kingsman, The Secret Service. This is not my original thought, James Bond type film with Tarantino type violence. This is a very violent movie. This is a AAA. This is the biggest buy of the month, 30 to 40. Mark?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Bob. This is a perfect movie for home entertainment. That box office is terrific. The marquee cast, great genre. And I think this is going to appeal to the younger demographic as well as the, middle-aged and older demographic. Add to the mix. It's supposed to be very funny. Look at that 28-day window. I mean, you're right. This is a maximum buy, no question.
Yeah, you have to max this out. The cast alone is going to create intense demand. 28-day window, you have to take advantage of that. Look at the IMDb, 8.1. That's impressive.
It is.
Oh, and I love the phrase Tarantino-type violence, Bob.
It is violent. It's a violent movie. The Duff. Okay, I didn't know what Duff was, but now I know it's a designated ugly fat friend. This is a teen comedy. It grossed $34 million, which isn't bad. 13 to 19. Mark?
Yeah, definitely a mark for this genre of, high school angst comedy, with a heart. Decent box office, actually, considering the lack of big name cast. I comp it to Perks of Being a Wallflower. See how that one did for you? But, I might do a shelf here. If I'm on rent track, I might do more. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a little hard for me. I'm not sure how much of that audience we still have. When did Perks of Being a Wallflower street? Anybody remember?
It was about 3 years ago.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, if you're on rent track, this is kind of a no-brainer to max out. Otherwise, I'd probably keep this to, I don't know, maybe 10 pieces.
Okay, rent track has a new name, right?
Yeah, no, it's owned by a different company. It's still called Rent Track.
Yeah, I think they're still using the same name.
Project Almanac. There are at least 3 quality sci-fis this month. This is the second one. This is a teen sci-fi. I think relatively low budget, but did 22 million. On a low budget, that's not too bad. No big names. Recommended by 13 and 19. Mark?
Yeah, did Chappie get axed out of this thing? I had that in my notes. Yeah, this is small budget for a sci-fi thriller, $12 million, and the reviews aren't stellar. So, I'll probably come in around 2 shows here. Yeah.
This is a unique kind of title. I mean, 22 million is pretty big box office for this type of production. But it's also the kind of thing people aren't going to come in looking for it, discover that you have it or how much you promote it. So you can take this from 3 copies to, 2 shelves plus, depending on what you've got for budget and what you want to do, and I'd probably be safe. So I'd probably target, around the 14, which would be 2 shelves, and then see where I end up dollar-wise.
Okay, another hidden gem for June 9th. This is Serena. Give me a break. Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence. Even though it did not get good scores and it has virtually no theatrical exposure, boy, this is 7, 10, or 14, I think. Mark?
Well, they pulled this off the shelf. This was actually the first movie Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence ever did. Before Silver Lining Playbook and American Hustle, which are both nominated for Academy Awards, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress. So they're quite a duo together. To me, that alone makes this an easy, shelf pickup, because of that fact. Ken, what do you think?
I tend to agree with you. I think you could do a shelf for this pretty safely. And, given the dearth of films we've had recently and Bob's sounding like upcoming, this is the kind of thing that could help carry you through July.
That's a good point.
Timbuktu. This is not a happy movie, but this is nominated Academy Award for Best Foreign Film. I think Academy Award nominees should have one. Mark?
No, I kind of agree. That's said perfectly. Everybody should carry any foreign movie that is nominated for Best Foreign Picture. Tim?
I agree. So, I'd probably bring in 2 copies here.
Chappie, this is the 3rd science fiction of the month so far, and it's obviously a good genre. This screens pretty well. 31 million box. It has a medium budget. It's an interesting premise. Great cast. Hugh Jackman, Dev Patel, Sigourney Weaver. 13 to 19. Mark?
Yeah, they promoted the hell out of this as well when it came out theatrically, which is always a big thing once it hits home video. obvious comp here is District 9, same people, which I like very much. I haven't seen this. I heard it's not as good, but it's along the same idea. That's a nice IMDb score. Like you said, Bob, the cast is just wonderful. I'm going to go 3 shells with this one, Tim.
I'm going to start with 3 shells, my initial order, and see where my numbers add up. I can always bring it down a bit, but that'd be my initial starting point. But I think it's a great genre. It's good box art. I remember the TV commercials, and I'm going to bet a lot of my customers do too. So I think it'll do quite well.
Run All Night, a perfect parallel title, is A Walk Among the Tombstones, which did extremely well on video. It's beginning to look like people want to see the Liam Neeson action movies, but they don't want to go to the theaters like they did for Taken. Great video title, 14 and 22. Mark?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Liam Neeson may be running out of steam at the box office, but he certainly hasn't petered out in the home entertainment front. And I love your comp. I had the same one written down. And this one has gotten very good reviews by consumers and critics. So you know what? I think it'll do equally as well as Walk Among the Tombstones. And Ken has already mentioned that has done extremely well for him. So Ken, you tell us.
Liam Neeson just rents and rents and rents. So, I mean, here I'm going to, do 3 shelves and stick with 3 shelves. If I've got to slice some budget, it'll be from some other title. And I love The Window.
Me too.
The Lazarus Effect. This is a low-budget horror movie that evidently worked with 25 million bucks. I really like the sleeve. I think that pops. Mark?
Yeah, I just love it when these low budget, and this particular budget was only $3 million horror movies, do that kind of box office, $26+ million. That's impressive to me, and that tells me that it has something special. Forget the IMDb score. I'm going to go with your recommended number, Bob. I think it's perfect. Ken?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the box office for sure. That's surprising to me. The box art works. I say 2 shelves.
Unfinished Business, Hidden Gem. People expected a lot from this title. Vince Vaughn comedies evidently are not doing so well theatrically, but I think this is going to do very well on video. To me, this is 7, 10, or 14. Mark?
Yeah, I agree. Keep in mind, this is the same studio as Lazarus Effect, so again, coming out the same week, it'll be heavily cross-promoted. Also on TV as well, I expect. Great cast, $35 million budget. You know what? I treat this like a $30 million Vince Vaughn comedy, and I would do those 2 shelves and feel comfortable. Ken?
Yeah, this is 2 shelves for sure. Vaughn is well-known. Everybody's going to, I like the box art. Customers are going to pick it up. You can't go wrong, I don't think, with 2 shelves.
I agree.
The Wrecking Crew. This is a documentary. It's a Hidden Gems. Reminds me of Muscle Shoals. A tremendous number of famous people talk about this backup session artists who not only play but actually change the music that the stars wrote, which is kind of interesting. Mark?
Yeah, good documentaries usually fare well, and this is a terrific one, especially good musical documentaries. This is a 2-copy pickup for me, and I think people are going to ask for this. It's really special. Ken?
I think, first, I love the box art. And
I do too.
Leap off the shelves. But, 2 copies, 3 copies, I think it's the kind of thing where word of mouth is going to help it as it goes.
I agree.
Wild Tales. This is another example of Academy Award nominee, Best Foreign Film, worth 1. Mark?
Yeah, and, the only thing it's 6 different stories, but they're all supposed to be very well told, but it's the same thing, nominated for Best Foreign Pick. Some people thought it might win. You got to carry it. Maybe a copy, maybe 2, if you got the right crowd. Ken?
Yeah, I'm with Mark all the way there. I mean, you got to bring it in. 1 or 2 copies. It really depends on what kind of clientele you have.
Welcome to Me. I assume people expected big things out of this with Kristen Wiig and a nice cast, and they're not giving it a chance theatrically. I don't know why, but it's worth getting. Mark?
Yeah, because it's pay to play anymore so often right out there theatrically, and they determined that it's going to be more profitable just to go to straight to DVD and on demand. But I agree, they had to expect more out of this for that cast. It's got nice reviews. Even if you look in the description, graphic nudity is thrown in for good measure. I definitely wouldn't pass on this. I will let Ken pick a number here.
I'm going to pick 4. I think this will do well. It's an awesome cast. The box art's a little intriguing. Cast is on the box art. Yeah, I think it'll do well. The IMDb scores indicate it's better than average.
Right, and I love that premise. That's a great premise. It's not like something I haven't seen before. Yeah.
Yeah, The Reach. We're still on June 16th. This is very few people in this movie. It's Michael Douglas, Jeremy Irvine release. Again, they didn't give it a chance at the box office. Worth getting because of those 2 guys, the 2 stars. Mark.
Yeah, so this has got me baffled because I go to the movies a lot, and this was previewed, and so many of the movies that I saw, and I know they have to pay for that. I don't know how it never ended up playing anywhere except for 1 or 2 theaters. It looks good. I saw the preview. It looks good. Michael Douglas looks like a badass. So you know what? It's Lionsgate. So again, if you're rent rack, do a show for more, and give us some shelf presence. This should play like a theatrical hit, in my opinion. Ken?
Well, first, you definitely bring this in. Michael Douglas alone is enough to justify that. How deep you go is a question of, if you have rent track, you go deeper. But I'd be bringing in, 4 or 5, maybe 6 copies here.
Okay, we're on the June 23rd, and there is no theatrical release of any significance this Tuesday, which is hard to believe, which makes me think that there's going to be some switching of dates from one title to another to get something here on June 23rd. All we have is independent product. The first one is The Forger. It's another Lionsgate title. Interesting premise. Grandfather is Christopher Plummer. John Travolta is the father. Ty Sheridan's the son. Nice premise for the movie. Nobody's seen it, but worth getting, obviously, to me anyways. Mark?
Absolutely. We can only hope that some studio drops a real theatrical hit this week. But, so far it's not the case. So with that in mind, the Lionsgate and Rentrack just keep coming to mind. This is a big, John Travolta is a huge name. And if there's nothing else coming out, this week of any significance, you got to max your buyout on this one. Your regulars need something to like a new release on the shelf. Do you agree, Ken?
Absolutely. You have to have something new for the weekend. And if this is the most recognizable face for the week, then this is the top copied ep for the week. And you got to bring in at that point, this turns into a 2-shelf movie.
Right.
Pound of Flesh. Van Damme, getting a little old, but still the action guy. Yeah, great sleeve. You know what you're getting. Mark?
Yeah, all these action stars that us old whiteys grew up with are still at it. It's amazing, isn't it? Again, I'm going to say the same thing as with The Forger. If there's only 3 movies coming out this week, I might do a whole show up on this one as well. What do you say, Ken?
You make a good point. I mean, if this is going to be the number 2 title for the week, then a shelf is warranted. Van Damme, I don't know how popular he really is with the younger crowd, but actually our demographic's a lot older than it used to be. So he's got plenty of fans in my audience here.
Very good point.
This is the 3rd title for a month. PG, An American Girl, popular among young females. Probably worth getting 1 or 2, and this week you got to get it. There's nothing else. Mark?
Yeah, the American Girl series is very popular. This has got a recognizable cast. Recognizable franchise. To me, this week at least 2 or 3. And again, I don't know. 28-day exclusive doesn't mean much. I don't think. But I would even consider maybe doing more for shelf recognition. Because this is it this week. Ken?
American Girl films seem to do well, and like Bob or Mark pointed out, it's a very successul franchise on video. So you definitely bring it in, and really depending on the size of the audience you have for PG type films, you base it on that. I'll probably bring in 4 copies here.
We're moving to the last Tuesday of the month. The title is Get Hard. Made for video, comedy, 2 stars, recommended by 20 to 30, and a window. Mark?
Yeah, this last week is a much better week. That box office should tell you that, this is the biggest hit of the week. Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart, studio promoted the hell out of this also when it came out theatrically, and they went on every show talking about it. To me, this is probably a max buy.
Yeah, this is definitely a max buy here. And then, if your budget is stressed, you very easily can consider June 30th as July. I would bring. Yeah, I'd bring this into the max that you budget for anything. This could
Actually,
be the movie for the summer.
I don't think your budget's going to be stressed because of June 23rd. So
you can and July, you said, is weak.
Right, July is weak. Okay, The Gunman. This, I think, would be safe to describe as Sean Penn wanting to be Liam Neeson, and made for video because of its violence. I have to be a smartass and say this guy's won 2 Academy Awards, and on the sleeve they show the back of his head. Go figure. 9 to 13. Mark.
Well, Sean Penn never wants to be Liam Neeson. That's just not fair to him. He, not only is he a superior actor, but that's not what he was trying to do in this movie. This is a cerebral action flick based on a book, and it's not that compelling. But I do love the box art. The Academy Award winning cast, and it does have some intrigue. A ton of TV advertising when this first came out, and you know what? Just so it has gun in the title, a lot of people are going to want to see it. 2 shelves works for me, Ken.
Yeah, 2 shelves sounds about right. But like Bob said, kind of wish he'd turn his head just another little bit, make him recognizable. But Sean Penn's going to do fine, and Mark's right. Gunman, people see that title in red there, and they're going to reach for it, and then they're going to discover it's Sean Penn, and then they'll rent it.
While we're young, this is a small movie, Lionsgate. I'm sure they expected more with Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts and Adam and the other stars in the movie. I recommend buy is 7 to 10. This is still at the theater, but I don't think it's going to hit 10 million. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Mark?
Yeah, that's a tough call. You know what? Some people love Noah Baumbach movies, Squid and the Whale, Francis Ha, and, Ben Stiller, Greenberg, So look at that. You see how Ben Stiller's Greenberg did with you. I'm not one of those people that like these movies. My wife and I walked out on this at the theaters. It's too dry, too full of itself. It was too much for me. I didn't care for it, but it does have a great cast. And if Greenberg did well for you, go for it. Otherwise, be careful here, Ken.
I'm probably looking at 4 copies here. But Ben Stiller, and Naomi Watts, people are going to pick it up. And then they're going to find out afterwards whether they really like that kind of movie or not.
Exactly.
Danny Collins, nice cast, nice premise, great reviews, enjoyable, recommended by 7 to 10. Mark?
This was such a pleasure. Now, I did not walk on this. I wanted to see it again. This movie is the best movie Al Pacino has made in years. It plays more like a rom-com dramedy, so I don't know that the cover really speaks to, the genre that well, but it's so good. It's super well acted, well written, hugely satisfying. I think Bob's 7 to 10 recommended number is fully justified here. I can't imagine anyone not liking this movie. It's that good. This should build word of mouth, in my opinion. Ken?
I'd bring in a shelf here. I don't know what I think of that box art.
Yeah, it looks like he's in a concert movie.
Yeah, it reminds me of something. I can't put my finger on it. But I think the names of the cast are big enough right there in front of you that, it will sell to people, and then they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Maybe it reminds you of Woodstock, an elderly Woodstock.
This is a good movie. Don't miss it, guys.
Last night, last movie for the month that we're showing. Again, it's Lionsgate. Busy supplier this month with Morgan Freeman and Clive Owen and that sleeve, and it's right on the shelf, even though it's a direct-to-video. This is worth a few copies, especially in July, or especially in June. Mark?
Yeah, or maybe even more. You know what? I love that box art. Okay, Morgan Freeman and Clive Owen, direct-to-video. There's nobody that's safe, But that could be a good thing. You know what? This is gonna appeal to these kind of epic, action movies. They do well. Ken, you tell me. What do you think?
No, I think it's a winner for home video. I'd bring in a shelf for this, particularly with what the forecast for July is. And it's also the kind of movie that you can get away with if you stock out, frequently on it, because no one's heard of it. They're not going to be upset. But if they see it on the shelf, they will definitely pick it up.
I agree.
Okay, the last is our assumptions, which we don't talk about anymore. You're glad to read them if you like. I do, again, want to warn everyone that I think there's going to be shifting street dates because of that July 23rd void. So you just have to stay on your toes and spend the budget, even though when you're all done with what you recommended for yourself, Ken, you probably won't spend your budget. So step up, because July is not going to be good. Mark and Ken, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.